tonight the session for question and answer. So if you have any question in general for the talk this morning and this afternoon, you have any questions so far?
Just a little question. Your opinion on the protein corn, Q-U-R-N. Do you know it?
Where it come from?
Mushroom protein.
Mushrooms?
It's synthetic, isn't it? Isn't it synthetic? I think it's man-made.
That usually that made from the oil. Yeah, the carbohydrate, but that not directly from the natural. That made from petroleum.
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 So it's not a good protein.
Yeah. Even though you know when you eat when you go to the Asian supermarket, they sell a lot of ham and protein, fake protein like that, a lot. And also what we most supermarkets, they sell the product made from what we call cái này hay làm sẽ làm cái mì khang là gì quên rồi. Gluten. Gluten. No, gluten, that is a fake protein too. So,
it's a fake protein?
Yes.
I've had it at some point.
The real one, in KLK, you extract it out from the wheat. But that technology is very in old time. When you take 1 kilogram of the wheat powder and you have, after you powder and you eliminate out, you get about 100 grams of gluten maximum, only about 110 or 120, the ratio. That is the real gluten and that's the good one. Okay, that's very nutritious. But the gluten now is the fake one. And we use that for the denture. We use that for the gum, the gum technology. We use that from, again, they use that from industrial more than for the food. But because of the texture, it's kind of similar. So they mix that into the protein or sometimes they use it by itself with add-on ingredients to make the food. That's why we end up with a lot of digestive problem because we cannot absorb that and our body cannot eliminate that either. So it can get stuck in there. And also it's the problem with the seaweed. You know the seaweed like the nori, if you buy in the good quality store, it's the real one. If you buy alga, the powder, be careful. And if you buy, let's see, kelp, yeah, that in the whole leaf, that is the real one. That is very good, excellent resource for the nutrition and all of them. The mineral. But if you buy the small seaweed, they make in the bay or in the ship, most of the time about 80% and 90%, that is just the plastic.
No.
They make it out of the plastic. So that's why our digestive system cannot digest it. And then it gets stuck in there. You don't know, even though in America, you know, in America, okay, the FDA and FDC, they control the medication, the food very carefully. In Europe, you can bring in the livestock, you can bring in the food, you can bring in almost everything. But in America, even though they came through, okay, through the customs, they throw the trap. But they still import a lot of Chinese product in there. And the rice, in Asia we had a whole bunch of rice, but I don't know when now they have a fake rice too, made out of plastic. They have a fake chicken egg made out of a potato and some other plastic too. So everything right now, okay, if you not listen to your body, you cannot distinguish between the real one and the fake one. Even though our body right now, right? If we don't know how to listen to that, we eat the real food, the good one, but how it integrates, how it absorbs, we really don't know, unless we really mindful and you really listen to your body. That's why we have more problem recently, especially for the last decade, for the last few years.
Well, a lot of chemical toxicity is very subtle, isn't it? It's very long term.
Definitely.
And then it gets banned after many decades.
Right, because the problem we already learned, whenever, even though that is a good food, but if our body cannot absorb that, okay, cannot use that, right away our body will secrete the mucus. And for the very tiny molecule, and for a very small amount, it can be secreted, it can be eliminated out easily. But for a lot of molecules, like the plastic, polyester, the gluten, milk, or for the lot amount, if we eat it on a daily basis, or at least 2 or 3 times a week, no way our body can eliminate that. And when it gets stuck in there, again, remember, our intestine is not like a straight, smoothly tube, right? It's very, very complicated, and it bends and it twists, especially in the locked intestine. And that's why we end up with a lot of problems with the tumor, with a lot of the bowel disease problem now. And then again, when we learn about the law of extraction, whenever that chemical gets stuck in there, it has a tendency to draw, to extract all the bad substance and get clubbed in that, get stuck in that. So that's why we need to know how to detoxify our body. I usually, for the last 2 years, I have many different programs in Europe to help people to detox. You can do on your own, you can do in a small group, you can do in facility under supervision of the one have experience or under medical supervision. Yeah. But actually, if you follow the instruction, you can do on your own. It's not difficult, and you don't need to take off completely to do it. You can, for the first 2 or 3 days, you may, if you're not really confident, you may need to take off work. But after the third day, okay, you can continue to go to work normally, no problem. But we have to understand the mechanism of that, the advantage and disadvantage of that, and we listen to our body. We have two ways. One very simple, very cheap. That means we just use the regular drinking water with some Epsom salt, magnesium sulfate, magnesium chloride. That means it just helps to draw out more water to the intestine, especially the locked intestine, to get it loose on the feces, on the mucus out. We need some lemon, right? and then some olive oil. The purpose of the lemon or grapefruit juice or lemon juice to help to break down on the mucus. It also have the tendency to get into the gallbladder and the liver, because in our body we have some very important organs: the heart, the liver, the stomach, the kidney, the lung. So each organ, it has a certain taste, certain color, and certain pH to go in that. And we already learned our liver and gallbladder. How many different important parts. So it overworks a lot and it gets stuck a lot. So that's why not only we need to clean up the intestine, we also need to clean up this one to help boost up our immune system. One of the most problems nowadays relate to the immune system. Our immune system either overwork or underwork. It not work properly. But most, I think majority, it overwork. So that's why it's exhausted and it damaged or it no longer can be functioned correctly. So that's why the lemon juice or the grapefruit juice will help to direct into that organ to clean it up, and also to help to break down on the mucus. And then we can use the warm water with the heat. It will lose, it will wash out on the cholesterol on the mucus too. So every day we need to have at least one bowel movement. And as we learned this morning, our intestinal tract is where the more toxin in here, right? And after that it will pass through the hole to get into the bloodstream. And the bloodstream will circulate and then it will dump into certain organ or into the tissue. So the higher toxic concentration will remain in here. So if we drink water incorrectly, we will pass that. We will dilute it out and it will pass through the pore into the bloodstream. So we don't want that way, because that it will circulate around, it will dump into other organs and dump into the muscle. So we have to need that to eliminate to the kidney, to the lung, and to the skin. It takes longer time and longer way. Rather than, okay, we want to dump it down here. It's faster, right? And then it gets rid more of the toxin out by this way. So that's why we need to have some very high osmotic substance, and salt is a more easy substance we can get. We can use castor oil, we can use very concentrated sugar like lactose or mannitol, but compared to all that substance, magnesium sulfate or sodium chloride is the best one, because it not only have an osmotic mechanism of action, that means it can draw the water down quickly. It also can absorb the negative energy. That is the invisible energy, but the modern medicine cannot see that. But in our body, it not only have the bad chemical, the bad toxin in the material level, which in our body still gets stuck with a lot of bad energy. So it causes the blockage of the flowing of the energy. It causes arthritis. It causes inflammation. So the advantage of the sodium chloride or magnesium sulfate, it not only can pour out the water, it also can absorb the negative energy out of our body. So we need to take that one until we have bowel movement every day, at least 1 to twice a day. So that is for the first days. For the second day, you can do the same thing, right? 3 times or 4 times a day. We can drink about an hour and about 1.5 liter to 2 liters of warm water with lemon juice, grapefruit juice. On the first day, in the morning and in the afternoon, we can do the same like the second day. But in the evening, at 6 and 8 p.m., we need to mix a little bit more concentrate with the magnesium sulfate with grapefruit juice, and we drink at 6 and 8 p.m. to prepare for the gallbladder and the liver, all of the duct to be softened and dilated. So we prepare that for what? Because at 10 p.m. we will make a mixture of about 4 ounces of olive oil with about 4 ounces of grapefruit juice. We may add about 1 or 2 lemon. We juice it out and then we mix with all of that. It looks like a dressing salad, right? Why we need that combination of that mixture and why we have to take at 10 p.m. Normally in our diet, we can consume about 1 or maximum 1.5 ounce of oil. That means about 30 or 40 ml. That is maximum. We cannot inject more than that. And also, when we have a normal diet, we have the protein, we have a carbohydrate, we have a vegetable in there. So when all of that food get into our stomach, the gallbladder, the liver, the pancreas have to interact. So it will be distracted, right? So it don't have enough power to put on the blockage, the stone. It doesn't have enough time to produce all the bile acid or the digestive fluid. But after we already fast for 2 days, everything in here be empty. Alright? So by the time when we send in 4 ounces of olive oil, that is too much. You see? So when it see that by itself only oil, nothing else. So it had to respond right away by secrete the very large amount of bile acid. And we already prepared the duct at 6 and 8 p.m. already. So it already soft, it already dilate. And with the mix of grapefruit juice and lemon juice, that means it is salty, so that is the target direction, like the head of the tray. Take all of that mixture, flow it in. And then the gallbladder and the liver see the high amount of the fluid coming in. With all the oil, they have to instantly produce large amount of bile acid and digestive fluid, so it will pump out again to neutralize, to break down that. So you see the fork of the current, one flow in really high amount and with the speed, and another inside flow out. So with that current, it will create the fork to draw out all the stone on the blockage inside the gallbladder and the liver. And it also because we are prepared at 6 and 8 p.m., with the solution to soften the duct and to dilate the duct. And when the oil comes in, it will wrap around on the stone. And now it will be carried out a little bit easier. You see? So that's the technique, the mechanism of that. And also, when you see on the internet, they have many different techniques. They will tell you, okay, you don't need to fast any time. You may eat in the morning, you may have a lunch, you may have a dinner, and at night you do cleansing for the gallbladder. Or you may have only one meal, you skip only one meal. But all that technique is no good. You know why? Because if you stop eat today, tomorrow you have a bowel movement. Our body can empty only 75% of the byproduct, never can empty 100%. So if we still eating normal meal today, all the byproduct, the fish still get stuck in our intestine, especially the large intestine, right? So even though when we use a very high amount of fluid with the oil to help to dump out on the stone in here, it still cannot get out of this area and it will get stuck in here again. First, secondly, it has no vacuum force to help to roll out. But when we fast for 2 days, we already empty completely. The first day 75%, the second day we empty another 20 or 25%. So all of the fish in here be empty out completely. So the whole intestinal tract is almost empty. It will have the suction force to roll out whatever about it. You see? So that's why it will have a very strong force for a long trip of 30 meters. That will help to roll out everything in the gallbladder, in the stomach, in the liver. So the effectiveness, it must be about 10-fold more than the regular way. Even though you have a big stone, alright, and you see, right? You see this is on the top, so it's not really hard and it's not really big. Only a few. You see the texture is different, right? This is not really hard. It's big, but it's not really hard. But this one, you see the texture is different, right? And if we can get rid of the top layer, we can get rid of the lower layer. The lower layer, the texture is much harder. And because it stays very long time in the gallbladder, so the color, it becomes dark yellow, greenish, or dark green, or sometimes purple, green purple. And you cannot round it with a hammer. It's really, really hard. Okay?
Do we all have gallstones?
I believe about 50 to 70% of us have it because of the way we eat. A lot of ingredients, a lot of chemical, and a lot of bad cholesterol. Especially for people with big belly and we have a late dinner with a big milk. Definitely we have it. The only issue because it's not blocked it completely, because if it blocked it here, we have a symptom, very painful. It may be worse than heart attack. But if it stays down here, we don't have any problem. Only indigestion, flatulence, when we eat more proteins, more fat, because it don't have enough space to hold for the bile acid. So it cannot secrete enough bile acid to break down the fat and the protein. Only when it be broken down and it gets stuck into the duct and it blocks the flow of the bile acid, so that we call it painful and the pressure. And when the pressure again the gallbladder, it will press again the liver, so that makes a painful, very painful experience. So after 10 p.m. we mix that and we ring that, and we exercise like the air bicycling to make sure we break on that the fluid get into the gallbladder and the liver area. And why we need to take it at 10 p.m. Why don't we take it in the morning, in the afternoon? Why we have to wait until 10 p.m.?
Circadian rhythm.
Why?
To do the circadian rhythms.
Yes, because you know people have a high cholesterol. When we take the medication, we should take usually at night time. If the medication has a short half-life, right? Because the cholesterol synthesis happens at midnight. First, secondly, at 11 p.m. is the time for the gallbladder to work. At 1 a.m. time for the liver to work. So if we take at 10 p.m., it has an hour to pass all that from the stomach into the gallbladder and the liver area. So if we take early during the day, it will dump down to the intestine instead of get into that direction. So it did nothing. It may help a little bit in the way of the law of attraction. That means we use the high amount of oil substance into our body when the whole system, the whole intestine empty. So by the law of attraction, when our body sees the large amount of the oily substance in here, it will call all the cholesterol in our body, in the abdominal area, in the liver, in the pancreas, in the muscle around there, come to see the big box, and then okay, put down now. That is only benefit. That is only benefit, but it's not much. The purpose we want to clean up the gallbladder and the liver, right? The other one is just the secondary benefit, but the main, the primary benefit, we want to clean up this one. You see? So, that is on the Thursday, and in the morning of the 4th day, we usually can have a bowel movement easily, because at 3 a.m. our body already finished the process, and usually some very sensitive people, they usually have bowel movement early in the morning, not wait until this time. The correct time, the best one has been around 6 or 7 a.m. Okay, that is the first one. And then some patients, they can have a 2 or 3 bowel movement, but majority they have only 1 or 2. When we have a bowel movement coming out, and then because all of the oil wrapped around the stone, so if we have a bowel movement into the basin or into the neck, okay, and we can use the hot water, we flood it through so it will melt out on the oily surrounding, and we will see the stone show up like this. Right? So that's the benefit of detox your body, not only the intestinal tract, but also all the gallbladder, the liver, the pancreas, and especially this is the time for general cleansing too. And it is a time for healing, the time for burning out all the extra fat tissue. Because you know that 70% of our daily energy support for the basal function. Only 30% of the calories used for all the work from morning to midnight. You see, so if we have a bar of chocolate, if we overeat, we overuse the calorie, all that calorie will be stuck and convert into the fat, especially for women. You see, we're talking about the way we eat and why it comes out with a lot of fat tissue. So the only time our body can burn out the fat tissue during the fasting state, when we have nothing bring it in. Another benefit of that, like us, you know, every day, every week, we go to the supermarket, we buy something. At first, when we just move in a new house, the house looks kind empty, really quite big, right? Quite nice and neat. But slowly, we go to the supermarket, we buy something a little bit every day, and we stock in that, right? In the kitchen, in the storeroom, in the closet, in the garage, everywhere. So after 5 or 10 years, 20 years, you see your house, okay, almost full. Something, okay, even though you never use it, you still store in there, right? And when we have too much storage, what happens? If we need something, we cannot find it, right? Or if have something wrong for the drainage system, for the electric system, for the wall, for the water leaking, whatever behind that, we don't know. So until the time when we reorganize our house, when we clean up of that, and we take out all the storage, and we see, oh, it has a leaking, or it has some damage, there's something wrong. So that is the time we can find out the problem and we can fix that, right? The same token in our body. Every day we take in the food, we bring in energy. But if we not listen to our body, we may bring it in more than our body needs. So that's why we get fat. And all the extra energy it builds up at the fat tissue. And all the toxin it gets in our body every day a little bit, every day a little bit. So it dumps into every single organ and tissue, and even the interspace between the cells. So it will cover and it will block on the way of the energy flowing. And then when we have a signal and when we decide we will fast or we will purify our body, that means we stop taking the energy inside out, right? That means we stop taking the toxin outside in. So our body is right in that moment have to switch to the internally out. That means now they have to use the extra energy stored in the liver, in the muscle, inside the body. So they have to go to the storage to take out all of the energy they are stored in there, to burn it out, to supply the energy for the body to function. And after they use up all that energy, that means they empty on the closet, on the storage space, and they will find out where it has a problem, need to be fixed. If we don't fast, we don't empty, we don't clean up, our body kind of very difficult to find out on the spot. If we cannot recognize, we cannot find out the wrong spot, how can it correct it? So that's why during the time of purification, that is the time for healing too. The time of detox, the time of clean up, the time for get rid of the extra weight that the storage, the fat tissue. So that is only half of story. And if we don't learn the other half, we fail. And that is why most of the losing weight program out there in the market fail. Most people get involved into the losing weight program fail. Because they always tell you the good thing. They always show you only one side, give you the illusion. Like whatever we discussed this morning and this afternoon. We only see only half the story. What is the other half? Every single phenomenon in life, in the universe, always have both sides. You have the sun, you have to have the moon. You have a daylight, you have to have a nighttime. You have the yin, you have to have a yang. You have a positive, you have to have a negative to balance the universe. So the same thing in here. If people just show you, tell you the good side, and don't tell you the negative side, the other side, that means we fail, and then okay, you have to come back to this, to work in the program, then take more money out of you, and you will fail, and you will get sick, you will upset because you are a failure. You see? So that's not only bad for your physical body, it's bad for your mind because you'll be discouraged. I'm the failure, I'm the loser, and I'm losing money for nothing because they don't tell you the other half. What is the other half? This is not only a purification process for your body. This is the training mind process. Alright? Because before the purification, our central nervous system blocked, right? The receptor in our nose, in our tongue, in our eye, it can't plunge, it's not sharp. That's why we need to have the stimulant. We need to have an ingredient. We need to have a spicy food. We need to have something to stimulate our appetite, right? If we have a very good receptor, we can eat anything. We can feel good with everything. We don't need to have a stimulant. We don't need to add anything else. First, secondly, because our body exposed to the toxin, exposed to the bad environment, exposed on the bad food too long. So our body already reacts to that by secreting the mucus to block it, to protect it. So many layers of the defense already wrapped over and already block the airway and on the blood vessel, on the digestive system. So we have many layers. So the disadvantage, that means it will get stuck on the toxin in there, it will get stuck on the bad stuff in there, and it also gets bad because when we eat the nutrition, it cannot penetrate through that, so waste our energy. But the good side is that if the nutrition cannot pass through on that layer of the protection, the toxin be eliminated too, because it cannot get through. You see, every single phenomenon, it has a good and bad together. But and then after the purification process, we remove on the fan, right? We remove on the mucus layer. That means no longer have a barrier there. So after the purification process done, the nervous system very sharp now, the signal transport very quick. So we can hear far away. We can smell from very tiny far away. We can take a little bit and we can absorb the energy right away. So it will satisfy really quick. Right? First. Secondly, go down in here. All of the storage already empty during the purification process, so now it's all empty. So the extraction, the suction force is very strong. All the barrier be removed. So when we finish the purification process, it will still eat the same amount of food like before. Instead, before we have too many barriers, it can absorb only 50% or 70% of nutrition. So when we get overweight, we gaining weight, but slowly, right? But now we eat the same amount of food, but it gets absorbed 100% because no longer the barrier there. So we gain weight really quick. You see? The same token for the toxin. Before we have many layers of the barrier. It blocks the nutrition, it blocks the toxin too. But now we all remove all that barrier. So all the toxin in the food get through it right away.
So that's like saying fasting can make you fat.
Huh?
That's like saying fasting or dieting can make you fat. Because
Uh-huh.
you remove this,
Right.
you
So
remove this,
Mhm.
and then if you eat the same amount,
That's why if we don't know
it's
that.
been observed since the 1980s.
Mhm. So, like you have here paper. You see it kind of dirty, right? So if we put some more dot of ink on the dirt, you cannot see it. But after you erase it, you whiten it, right? The same spot, but you will see it right away. Same token in here. After we cleanse up our body, if we still consume the same food we ate before, even though with tiny bit of chemical or toxin, it will expose out to your skin right away in a few hours. It not hold until a few days like before. It will kick it out right away and you have the reaction right away. Okay? So that's why that is the second half of the purification process. The benefit, but the risk right there. So we have to know how to do it correctly and how to prepare for that. Definitely when we know how to prepare for that, it not only has a benefit for your physical body. First, it will use up, burn out all the extra calories, the fat tissue. Second, it will get rid of the mucus layer, the barrier, the space where all the toxin can be stored in there, can be hidden in there. Third, it will remove all the toxin. Even though it can remove some polyp in the mucous membrane too, the small one. And then it can help to revitalize or reorganize the flora. Instead it has too many bad bacteria when we eat meat or protein. So it will disturb the homeostasis of the flora. So now it can rebalance that. And finally, it is the most important, this is the time for the healing. Because think about that. If this room we not clean up every day or every week, a little that we collect, and after a month we come back, the dust, the moisture, the air, it look bad. And how about this house? How many years we not cleaning up? so it gets stuck a lot, right? So this is the time for cleansing up and for healing, for checkup and to prepare. So after we learn this, we know both sides of that, and we know the benefit is much, much more than the risk. And not only the physical level, this is the time to boost up your mental and spiritual life. Why? Because when we clean up all the toxin, the bad substance, the bad gas in there, and we already know the law of attraction. The law of attraction, if we have a bad guy in here, it will attract more bad energy in your body, bad stuff in your body. Alright? So now we clean up that. So that means we have a new energy, a refreshed one, a good one. So it will draw in more and more. And you know, the bad energy will get low frequency, so it get down to the earth more. For the fresh energy, the high frequency, it's lighter, so it flow up, so we feel it easier, more freely. And also, when we get stuck with all the bad material substance, it's more condensed. So the gravity, the gravitational force will pull out down to the earth, more than the levitational force, to let our body get to be lit up easier. So that's why this is the time to let our body free of the attachment to this world and let it freely moving around, lit up our spiritual life. We have the other, no, I'm not talking about the second half yet. For the second half, in here, for the second half, the same thing. We need to follow the first, the second, and the third day. For the first days, we need to drink the liquid only. You can use that from the brown rice or the millet, whatever, but we need to roast it first, and then we cook, we use the broth only to make a good positive layer of energy, to be a new barrier for our insecting. Alright? And after that, we can start use the liquid a little bit more sticky. Again, the same, very positive, very yang. You can use the brown rice, you can use the whole wheat, you can use amaranth, you can use millet, whatever we have, but not the purified product, not the bleaching product, not the unnatural product. For the first 2 days, after that, the Thursday we can start to eat some boiled or steamed vegetable, some brown rice, and make sure we have to chew it slowly, carefully, like the technique we already learned this afternoon. And after that, you are free. You can come back at the normal diet on the 4 days. What I mean the normal diet here, that means you can have a correct ratio of carbohydrate, protein, and fat or oils with vegetable. And then we need to cut it down, depend on you want to gain weight or losing weight. This technique to help people to gain weight too. Because for some people, they eat a lot, but their body not get absorb much nutrition because it has too many barriers to block for the absorption. So after purification, it removes all the barriers so the nutrition can absorb faster and easier. So this only help for people who want to gain weight and help for people who want to lose weight. Depend on which one we want. But the important message here, don't let it gain too quick, don't get it lose too quick, have to slowly. So for people who want losing weight, we already follow the first half, so that's good. And after we break the fast, we need to eat only one half or 1/3 of the meal we eat before. Right? For people who want to gain weight, they can start increase slowly from 1/2 to 2/3 and to full size of the size of meal they eat before the fasting state. Only some problem during the fasting state, especially for the second and for the third day. The first day, normally we have no problem, right? Everyone can stop eating for a day without any problem. But the second day, we may, about 10% or 50% of people will have this period. Why? Because for people usually get attached to food, with a craving for food. I mean, they get used to take the energy from outside. So the body depends on the external energy more than the internal. So when we switch from external energy into the internal energy, it takes longer time to adapt. With people, they can very flexible, not really depend on the food, not really craving for food. The body is very flexible and can adapt right away. Okay, so that is the first thing. So it takes longer time to adapt from the external energy into internal energy. It has a gap in the middle, so the energy level goes down. So they feel a little bit tired, dizzy, or something like that. The other mechanism is the main one, is more important. As we already know,